Fast and fearless, here's everything you need to know this rush hour of June 6, Thursday. I'm Riza Diaz. We start off today's rush with a bit of an uptick in the prices of food and other utility items that has driven inflation in May up to 3.2%, a first in 6 months. But don't let that affect your regular grocery shopping. The government says this isn't seen to sustain in the long run. Bim Santos has the report.
Inflation picked up in May after 6 consecutive months of slowdown. From 3% in April, inflation grew to 3.2% in May. This is the first time inflation accelerated since it hit a 9-year high in September last year of 6.7%. May's inflation rate, however, was still within the central bank's 2.8% to 3.6% forecast range. The growth was largely driven by an increase in the heavily weighted food as well as utility prices.
The uptrend was primarily brought about by higher annual rates posted in the heavy weighted food and non-alcoholic beverages index at 3.4%. and in housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels index at 3.3%. Right now, we just observed that vegetables, fruits, fish registered higher figures in May.
The year-to-date inflation average is now at 3.6%, which is still within the BSP's target range of 2 to 4%. In a statement, the National Economic and Development Authority tagged El Nino as a culprit behind the increase in the May inflation. Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Ernesto Pernia says government must continue pursuing robust solutions for an immediate and long-term response to El Nino. Pernia adds that upside risks to inflation include the threat of African swine fever entering the country, the increase of rice prices in the international market, and volatility in global oil prices. Bim Santos, We Are One News.
Meanwhile, a magnitude of 5.4 earthquake rocked Sultan Kudarat earlier this morning. PHIVOC says the quake occurred past 4:30 in the morning at 29 kilometers northeast of the town of Panimbang. Intensity 1 has been reported in General Santos City, although authorities expect no damages from the earthquake. Residents, however, are warned of possible aftershocks. Expect some rain showers and thunderstorms later today. That's because of the intertropical convergence zone, or the merging of winds from the northern and southern hemispheres. That weather system is affecting Bicol, Mimaropa, Visayas, and Mindanao. Pag-asa warns against possible landslides and flash floods in these areas. Meanwhile, other parts of the country may also experience isolated rain showers and thunderstorms. The Housing and Urban Development Coordinating Council, or HUDC, is now asking the Commission on Audit to allow the use of 5 million pesos spent by Task Force Bangon Marawi to send siege victims to a Mecca for pilgrimage. The audit agency earlier flagged the millions of worth of budget spent for the pilgrimage, saying it was the expenses allowed under the deal signed by HUDC and the Office of the President. COA has since demanded the money to be refunded. Task Force Bangon Marawi, head by Secretary Ed Del Rosario, says the pilgrimage is part of the official or social healing process needed for the overall rehabilitation of Marawi. Malacanang, meanwhile, says it will look into the matter.
That would be technical malversation. Kung totoo. Hindi pa natin alam. First, I want to see the COA findings, and then maybe I will write HUDC regarding it.
Siargao's garbage problem has now caught the attention of the DENR as the local government attempts to bury its trash in the sand. Shaila Francisco will tell us more.
Environment Department officials inspected this dump site in General Luna in Siargao and found fewer trash. But appearances can be deceiving. Under this area are tons of garbage covered with sand. According to the local government, this is a temporary solution to rehabilitate this dump site. But according to the DNR, this is not the proper way to effectively maintain a dump site.
Tema yan dahil unang-una, syempre magkakaroon ng leachate yan. Danger dyan is of course pag umulan, yung katas niyan pupunta sa ilalim ng lupa, pupunta sa tubig, And of course, yung mga gumagamit ng deep well, mako-contaminate yung tubig natin. Pache-check din natin yung water quality niya to prevent naman na maapektuhan yung mga nearby bahay dito.
Wala na kaming ibang option, yun lang ang kulang kami ng pondo.
Left with no choice, the DNR officially closed the dump site, blocking the road leading to the area. It will remain until the local government constructs a proper waste facility. General Luna Mayor Veronica Solioso assured the DNR they will be constructing a residual containment area or RCA starting tomorrow, 500 meters from the dump site. It is expected to be finished in a week's time. The RCA will cost from 5 to 6 million pesos, which the LGU will source from its development fund.
Dahil nakasimento yan, hindi na yung mga waste natin hindi na tatama yan sa tubig. Nakasimento yan, may cover na yan, may bubong na yan.
But not everybody is happy with the idea.
Ang gusto ko hindi kasi para makapira kami rito. Paano? Wala na pangkita kami rito, wala nang basura. Paano? Pinaklose na nyo. Ang gusto ko ibalik yung basura rito.
The DNR says it is coming up with a program for waste pickers to directly collect trash from establishments.
Sila mismo bibigyan natin ng mga areas na iikutan nila, tapos idediretso nila sa recycling plant, babayaran sila, hindi may standard ng presyo.
The mayor then issued a stern warning to establishments.
Hindi namin ipatapon dito yung basura nila, yung waste nila kung hindi sila nakasegregate at tatlong first opens lang, second opens, then pagka third opens, sabi ko kahapon na within this year by December, i-terminate namin yung permit nila for business. Then baka yun din ang ground namin na para hindi na sila maka-reopen sa kanilang mga establishment.
Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
After decades of waiting, residents of Cruz Naligas now have a chance to own their homes. That's after the Senate approved the bill authorizing UP Diliman to sell the historic land to the government or to the local government of Quezon City. Marian Enriquez has the story.
Sakahan lahat yung paligid. Ito nga, saka namin to. Yung pinagbahayan namin.
92-year-old Nanay Kika still vividly remembers how Barangay Cruz Naligas used to be a vast farmland in Marikina, Rizal, long before it became part of what is now Quezon City. On Monday, the Senate approved on third and final reading a bill authorizing the University of the Philippines to sell up to 22,467 hectares of land in Barangay Cruz Naligas to the Quezon City local government. This means the residents of Cruz Naligas can finally receive titles for their land.
Salamat po. Bago ako mamatay, talagang makita ko sarili na namin yung Cruz Naligas.
Barangay Cruz Naligas history traces back to 1896 when Andres Bonifacio and the Katipuneros temporarily retreated here from their battle in Pasong Tamo.
Itong Barangay Cruz Naligas nung panahon ni Presidente LP Quirino ay ibinenta sa UP sa halagang piso. Yan. So, ang aming mga ninuno dito, dahil sila ay magbubukid lang, so hindi nila naisip na mapatituluhan itong aming nasasakupan.
That is why the newly approved sale of land is so important for residents of the barangay. But UP and the LGU only have a year to agree on terms and conditions for the sale and settle the payment in full. A fence will also be constructed between UP and the land it sold back, and the technical working group will be created to identify legitimate residents. Meanwhile, Chairman Magalong clarified that the area covered by the new land titles will be the same area currently occupied by each family.
Kung ano yung ating tinitirahan, kung ano yung ating property, iyon po yung makukuha natin. At yun ang babayaran natin ng paunti-unti sa ating Quezon City government.
For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Meanwhile, here are the biggest stories from the dailies. Filipino Star ngayon reports that the provincial bus ban in EDSA is so far still a go. That's after the Supreme Court deferred its ruling on two petitions seeking to stop the MMDA policy banning provincial buses along the major thoroughfare. Sources inside the High Court says magistrates did not see enough reason for the urgent release of a temporary restraining order on the policy. The Supreme Court reset its deliberations to June 25. Business World gives a toast to the working class as the latest labor data shows fewer jobless Filipinos. Data from the Philippine Statistics Authority shows April unemployment dipping to 5.1% this year from 5.5% in the same period last year. Underemployment, or those working but actively looking for more jobs, also went down nearly 4% in April. This is good news, especially since the data also shows a bigger labor force figure in April, 45 million workers to be exact. And this from the Philippine Star. Filipino women use the internet more than men. That's according to the latest SWS survey, which showed a record high of 50% of Filipino women using the internet. Meanwhile, only 41% of Filipino males are internet users, a downtrend from last year's 44%. In total, the poll revealed that the number of internet users in the country hardly changed, with 46% of adult Filipinos use the internet. To compare, SWS survey recorded that only 8% of Filipino adults go online back in 2006. Let's fast break now to Sports Rush. After splitting their first two games at this year's FIBA 3x3 Under-18 World Cup, the Gilas Pilipinas women's team bounced back to claim 2 victories yesterday. In a must-win game, the Gilas girls squeaked past the Netherlands through a dramatic buzzer beater, 10-9. It was a low-scoring game between the two teams, with the lead going from one country to another. But with the scores tied up at 9 points apiece, Camille Clarin made the last-gasp attempt in the paint, which ensured the Philippines a spot in the knockout stage. Now, for their second do-or-die match, the Gilas Bells bested Czech Republic in an overtime match. At first, it looked like an easy win with the Gilas leading 13-8, but Sara Korkovkova rallied the team behind and was able to catch up. In overtime, Angel Sorada is blocked but collects her own miss and wins the game. Now, after 2 hard-fought victories, the Gilas ladies are set to move on to the quarterfinals. And here are the other stories to watch out for later today. NBA Finals action continues between the Warriors and the Raptors. Who will reclaim the lead in Game 3? And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.